And 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 hey lady, what you doing?
Oh, just hanging out in the car.
Yeah, great. The most private place on the planet, right?
Yeah, it totally is.
I love it. I love it. Hey, gay.
Hello.
Hello. Hi. Good to see you.
If I like go off screen or something, I mean, if I disappear, it's because we're having rolling thunderstorms roll through. So
Oh, girl. Okay.
no.
yeah. So yeah.
No worries.
So
All right.
just to give you a heads up, just in case. Hopefully not. Hopefully it'll all stay where it's supposed to stay or do what it's supposed to do.
It'll do whatever it's supposed to do. Yeah.
No, the boys made me run out and get supper, and I like left, and I was like, I left before the rain, and it was like, as I walked out of the restaurant, it was pouring.
Oh, man. Of course.
I tried to beat it, but I wasn't quick enough.
All right.
But
All right.
that's all right.
Friday night fish fry.
We did not get fish fry tonight, though.
Okay. Okay.
We were all in the mood for Mexican for some reason.
Ooh,
Ooh.
yum.
So
Good.
I'm gonna wait a few more minutes for Rachel and then I'll start. Because it's just a small group. It's just us and Alyssa, but Alyssa's not gonna be here at all except for sporadically tomorrow. But she wanted the recordings, etc. If you ever see
Aw.
recording not on, please let me know. It'll be on just during the chatty chat parts tomorrow and
Oh.
not in the city sit parts. City sit, chatty chats.
Kind of learn a new lingo now.
I guess,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. City
was-
sits, chatty chats.
I
I
was
still
hanging
can't-
out with my niece the other day.
Oh.
So she's in her early 20s. So I get a lot of the, whatever. Maybe that's not her,
Yeah.
maybe that's just me. I don't know. I don't even know anymore. I don't know.
You had a good one the other day. Something is a clam bake. Oh, that it was funny.
Oh, blow this clam
I
bake.
can't remember how you said it. It was like something is a clam bake. I don't know if it was as fast as a clam bake or what it was. I gotta find it. It was hilarious.
It's okay, guys, I'm gonna blow this clam bake.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, it's a New England saying.
Yeah. Oh, I
because-
figured. I just had never heard that one. It's like I gotta use that one.
I see. Sometimes I don't know if they're just old-fashioned sayings that I get from my family, like my mom and my aunts and stuff like that, or if they're New England speak. You know, if it's specific
Yeah.
to New England, or if it's specific to their generation. You
Mm.
know, like an affirmative answer can sometimes be, does a one-legged duck swim
Oh.
in a circle? Like, I think that's universal, right? A
Yeah,
universal
yeah, that
dad
one. Yeah.
joke. Okay.
If it walks like a duck, talks like
Talks like
a
a
duck.
duck.
It's like, yeah. It's a
Probably
duck.
a duck. Yeah, all the duck references.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me text Rach, and then I don't think that she mentioned she was not going to be able to be here tonight. But if she isn't, that's all right.
Well, I
It's
thought
not going
she-
to be. Say that again.
Well,
Yeah, I thought she said yes, right?
Yeah. Well, because then she asked about the times too, and so I thought,
This could be going on. I mean, really, tonight it's not going to be mind-blowing news tonight. This is just to say, hi, we're doing this first thing tomorrow morning. That's pretty much all it is, just to get everybody together on the same page. Whose face is that? Is that Gay that just saw that? Yeah. I should have said Rachel instead of Babe. Have you guys seen the last couple of weeks I've been doing these Wednesday meditation for light worker chitty chats on my pagey page. And the first one was this massive overview. It pretty much gave the why, wherefore, what, how of what we're going to be doing today. It was just the big picture of things. Just that something that you guys looked at or were?
I didn't.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna, it's a longer conversation that I don't want to spend a lot of time on because it's Friday night, right? And I want everybody to chill and get a good night's sleep, relax, eat your dinner, and do whatever you're gonna do before we launch in on the morning stuff throughout the day. But I was gonna do that anyway, but let me make a note to do that. I'll post it in the Facebook Messenger feed here.
Oh, okay.
Great.
That seems to be easier. There's
Yeah.
a little bit more gymnastics to get something from Facebook to an email than Messenger for some
Yeah.
reason in my brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah, I've watched a few of those. I don't know if I can't remember if I caught the first one, so
okay.
I'll check that out.
I mean, just to put things in context, I'll do
Yeah.
a brief overview. I get pretty impassioned about it when
Yeah.
I can really spend time on it. So if you want a whole bunch of that, that's what that video would be. That's good. All right, well, let's see here. So let's more text and see where she's at. And let's just get started, get the party started. So to get ready for tomorrow, it's not going to take a lot of effort. It's the usual, what you might suspect anytime you do an intensive. With a meditation practice, the only thing you want to pay a little bit more attention to is physical comfort. We're not working on a trigger practice this weekend or tomorrow for the day long. We're not trying to get uncomfortable so that we can launch into equanimity and really be able to stay with things. That's not the theme for this weekend. So that means within the first sit, you'll find out within the first half hour what's going to be comfortable for your body. You might choose to sit in a chair. You might choose to sit on a meditation cushion. You might choose to stand. That's completely up to you. When we do our silent sitting time or directed sitting time, it also means if you need to shift your body from, say, if you decided to sit on the ground, if you need to stretch out your legs, do that slowly and consciously. If you have been sitting by the afternoon and you're sick of sitting and you find that out within 5 minutes of our formal meditation time, stand up. So I just want to really reinforce comfort, to stay comfortable with your clothing, with whatever position you choose to sit in. Lots of permission with that during our sits. The only thing that you might want to pay attention to is a long, easy flowing, straightish spine. That's something that you can get by laying horizontally, by laying flat. Would maybe not recommend for the kind of work we're going to be doing tomorrow, because it's really easy to space out and fall asleep. So while that's okay, if you need a nap, bail out of the sit and go take a nap for an hour, but don't use the formal meditation time or, your intention of doing meditation to then fall asleep. That's the only reason why I wouldn't encourage the horizontal position. Our brains are wired to understand deep relaxation while we're horizontal is, oh, yay, we get to sleep. And it's going to be long alert relaxation, long alert spine, long spine, alert mind, completely relaxed. Typically, generally, that's what you're going for. I think that's all I need to say about that. You guys are pretty much understanding what that means or what that looks like, right? Stay hydrated. Make sure that you are eating snacks. You will probably, if you're gonna do the marathon and do the whole day long, make sure that you eat lunch. Nothing heavy. Don't have, 3 grilled cheese with tomato sandwiches. It's probably going to really make your body want to sleep. Something a little bit lighter, but definitely proteins and fats. Maybe not fruits. That's just a hint from having been at a lot of meditations. It'll be just easier on your body, easier on your brain. It just makes things easier. Not because, cracking the whip or anything, just making it easier to stay with your intention for the day. Included in that is take a minute and, ooh, she's trying to join. Hold on one second, people. will be sporadic breaks in between things. Make sure you get up and move around a little bit. Take advantage of that, even if it's just walking a loop in your house a couple of times through a thunderstorm, say, or you know, get up and down stairs or something, or whatever you can do. Put on some music and dance a little bit. Pee, move. Because the tendency in really paying attention the way we are is we'll get a little bit stiff in our stillness. And you just want to loosen that up in between times. What else to say about that? That's all, really. As for most intensives, and this is a form of that, being a day-long retreat, set an intention for yourself. It doesn't have to be fancy. It might just be relaxation. Perhaps that's it. Perhaps it's something a little bit more involved, more specific to whatever theme we're working on in that particular sit, or we are focusing on the sense gates and honing that, and I'll get into that in a minute. Although you've all heard me talk endlessly about that for a couple of weeks now, so you pretty much know what that is. Something that feels aligned for you, something that feels right on. And along those lines, if you decide to keep a journal or have a little stack of sticky notes to have papers on, it's an intensive. So sticky notes are great. You can stick them all over your little meditation space or wherever you're deciding to join me. There's Rachel. Something to remind yourself of things, or at least stick your intention somewhere. There she is. Hey, lady, how's it going?
Oh,
Sorry.
No worries at all. I've just been prepping them, doing the usual stuff. Be comfortable, drink lots of water, make sure you walk and move your body during breaks. Make sure that when you eat food, that eat pretty light and not, a pound of cheese and a candy bar, right? Something to keep you light. Set an intention. Those are the basics. How you doing, Rachel?
I'm okay. I'm okay.
Yeah, baby, sweet. So the context within which we're working, I mentioned a video that I did probably about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I'll send a link to that video in the messenger, the group messenger, the Facebook messenger group feed. I'll put the link to that there so you can have a more impassioned detailed explanation of what we're doing. Briefly, what I talked about in that is some of the context from where this honing the sense gates comes from. Basically, what I start to go into is what we're generally looking for in any practice is moving towards from a sleeping state to an awake state. So what were you sleeping in and to, and what are you awaking from? What was your sleep and what's your awakening? So within this context, we're talking about the marks of existence and having them as a present reality, a felt sense as opposed to theoretical sense, philosophical sense, but a lived sense of impermanence, of body, of self, of others, of just change in general. Things do not stay the same. The other mark of existence is sense of self also changes to the point where it can start to evaporate. And what is self? Where the I am begins to evaporate. And then what? And then what? That very much connects to what we're going to be doing tomorrow. The third sense gate, I really want to launch more into these, but I just want to give like a little sprinkle, taste. The third is mark of existence is stress or suffering or unpleasantness. It's in everything, no matter what. What was once beautiful and enjoyable eventually grows stale and old, and you outgrow that shoe that was your favorite. Whatever that is a kind of stress, a kind of a discomfort. All of those three marks of existence are true, no matter where you are and what you do. In any spiritual tradition you practice in. They're all doors, particularly if two of them are occurring as a felt lived experience for you at the same time, to a big awakening and to the true reality of what is. What we are doing, that is some of the context. That is a lofty lot right there. Although, as you talk about it, it sounds lofty. As you actually practice techniques or are launched into an experience of one or all of these, pretty simple, pretty basic. Once you're in the middle of it, pleasant or unpleasant, it's what is. Talking about it makes it seem like God is arriving, Deus ex machina, God. What we're really doing here is something a little more simple, and we'll use the word mindfulness. And mindfulness of what? The now, the present moment. Be in your present, be in your now. What does that mean, and how do we do that? The present arises in our awareness. How do we know that it's arising in our awareness? We have sense gates. We can see it. We can hear it. We can maybe smell it. Ew. Yay. Or taste it. Yum. Ick. Or touch it or feel it in some capacity. That's how we know what the world is. That's how we know what the now that Eckhart Tolle talks about is. Because as animal humans, these are our sensing capacities. There's another conversation here that we may or may not go into. It depends what happens tomorrow, where there's such a thing that you'll become aware of as you practice more and more. There's the consciousness of seeing. It has its own consciousness. There's ear consciousness. There's the thing that you're hearing. There's your mind, you're picking up the signals that your ear is receiving and dictating that electrical signal to your brain to understand something. Something's happening between the capacity of the ear talking to the mind and the thing externally. That whole gestalt is a consciousness. Done. You don't have to understand it. Let it go. The other ways to pay attention along with, or the other things that support, the other skillful techniques you can use to pay attention to your now moment as it arises in your sense gates. It's helpful to be able to focus on it gently, but clearly. We call that concentration practice, concentration power, concentration skills, the capacity to focus for longer and longer and longer periods of time, which would lead into bliss states if you chose that as your path. No matter if you're focusing on pleasant or unpleasant, it eventually all goes in the same direction. The other skill is the muscle of equanimity. no matter what arises. There's an unflappable acceptance of the now moment. Something arises unpleasant. I have an adverse reaction to that. The witness consciousness that comes with equanimity sees both the unpleasant fuck words and emotional reaction, as well as the thing giving rise to that unpleasantness. The witness consciousness is the unflappable one, is the equanimous one. Those three things meld and weave together, in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. So tomorrow we're going to be unpacking the fun stuff. Not equanimity practice, although that will arise. Not concentration practice per se, although that will be strengthened. The sense gates, paying attention to seeing out and seeing in, to hearing out, hearing internal dialogue. You can do the same thing with smelling, tasting, physically touching, proprioception, gravity, temperature, feeling body, emotional feeling, internal states, which are also energetic states. That's what we're looking at tomorrow, all day long, all day long. A lot of this stuff, I have, if you look in the group, Facebook Messenger feed, it's a lot of words all together, that communication device, I put a PDF link there. It's a little grid, it's a little graph. And if you love organizational tools like I do, it might be helpful. It might be helpful. Yeah, oh, look, Dave printed it out. I love that she did that. I think that I can screen share that a bit. Let me see what's happening with the screen share. Share. And boom. There she blows. Sense gates. So, see, hear, feel, taste, and smell. Yeah. I just doubted myself for a second. I wonder if I put taste and touch. No, I put taste and smell. I put them as actions. So let's talk a little bit about some of the things that are going to be coming up. I'll unpack that more tomorrow. If I talk too much tonight, we won't have anything to do tomorrow in the teaching sections. I'm going to talk about, so you see the sense gates are the top column. Those are the whatsies. The downward column, so I guess that's the list, the titles, the states below, and I had to put arrows because so that I would not confuse myself, because if I'm confused, it probably means somebody else is going to be confused. See out external, that would be, for example, sight, seeing externally, seeing right now, I can see my microphone, I can see my computer, I can see your lovely faces over on my right side. I see lots of things happening in my space. If I close my eyes, initially, I see some of that, the feedback that happens, the inverse colors. And then if I relax a little bit more, I see some amorphous movements. And if I say the word celery, ooh, I start to see the color of celery, and I see like a long sticky thing. And if I waited a little bit more, then the shape of a stalk of celery may arise. That's my see in, my inner pictures. Nothing that's coming from the outside. So a lot of us know that is clear. Out is the seeing out. As I was seeing in, it's the second in that row there, in or internal see. Out, external see, in, internal see. Those are the basics. Those are the basic whatsies that will focus on for each capacity to experience the world through each sense gate. And I'll explain the others during the sessions tomorrow, the sense of things expanding, the sense of things contracting, the sense of things at rest. And I put other because there could be other experiences arising. Does that make sense? Pretty much? Just a simple nod. Beauteous and beautiful. So you may choose to do like Gay and print that out for yourselves. The capacity to do that is there. The link is in there. Maybe that's helpful. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's something that you'll want to write out or write down for yourself. That might be a little bit more helpful for you. The reason I shared this with you is because many moons ago, when I was in the inns, when I was focusing in meditation on seeing inward, simply to strengthen that skill, hearing inward, feeling inward, which would be my empathic emotional sense. Things started to happen that I didn't understand. And I was told to ignore them because the goal during that practice is to allow the moment to arise and bear it calmly with equanimity, and then to keep going and going until nothingness, until expansion, so that I can then come back down with even more equanimity and be with the arising moment as it was. That was my goal back then. Years after that, when I was practicing and trying to hone those skills again, I understood them differently. I understood them as intuition, or as all of us know, because we've all been trained by the Lightworkers Lab, which is now the Lightshine Academy. Those are called clairs. Depending on what's coming in, you're either being a clairaudient for your own information or for others. What I found was that those skills helped me already be in touch and to distinguish between what was internal seeing, to distinguish between the clairs, what was internal seeing, what was internal hearing, and what was internal feeling. Yes, they may co-arise, but they are distinct threads with a life of their own, with an information stream of their own. And even as you start to relax back into the claircognizant moments, if you pay attention, there are subtle streams of your sense gates understanding what the knowing is. It takes a lot of quietness to really perceive the initial hits, but they will come in because you have a human brain that interprets the external world and the internal world through your sense gate languages. Whatever comes in will be interpreted through those languages. It's a way to understand and make sense of your claircognizance as well. Spending time with each of them will sharpen them, clean them, clarify them, expand them, and make friends with them. All of those things, when you befriend something, when it's true friendship, there are automatic boundaries there. I will probably not say this again tomorrow, but because we're all empaths here, it's important to say. Spending time with each of these requires little effort to create strong auditory clair boundaries, internal see boundaries. There's an effortlessness to the boundaried state when there's honed clarity. Does that make sense? At least theoretically? Is everybody breathing? So that's what we'll be practicing tomorrow. I get a lot of this practice from one of my really significant teachers, who's this old guy named Shinzen Young. That's one of his books. I felt like I needed to honor this human. That's a very dramatic picture of him. He's actually much older now and kind of short and round, and very sweet and with a very toothy grin, a very sharp of mind. A lot of the techniques that we're going to be working on today, I know from him and through this book that I'm not sure it's ever been published, but it's called The 5 Ways to Know Yourself. And in that is not the simple graph that I gave you as a PDF, but a more complex graph. That's not important for us tomorrow. And so I simplified it. Really great book. And I can photocopy some of it if you guys are interested, as long as you promise not to publish it and share it in some other format. But I'll do that on specific written request. I can do something like that. I just wanted to nod to those who came before me and all of his teachers as well. He was trained in Zen traditions as well as the Thai forest tradition within, that's all Buddhist traditions. He was also previously a scientist, molecular biologist, and mathematician. So that's why we get graphs, because he has a very Western sciencey organized mind. None of this Zen koan stuff. He needed something more concretized, which can be of service and of disservice at the same time as we move into deeper and deeper awarenesses and states. So that's all I have to share with you tonight. Other than that, I'm open to questions or comments or anything else. Rachel, I do want to check in with you a little bit, Mama. Your brows are furrowed heavily, and I want to check into your emotional state and well-being, if you're willing to share.
I have resting scowl face.
I love you so much.
My cousin Jason and I talk about that sometimes, how sometimes all we are doing is taking in what the other person is saying. It looks like we disagree and that we're mad, like we're like, but we're just concentrating on what they're saying and what's coming in. And it's, I can't tell you how many women
times
have come to me in the bathroom and say, I always want to speak to you, but I'm scared because you look mad all the time.
Girl, you would
I'm
think I would
really-
know this by now.
I'm either just taking in what you're saying, or I've kind of got a lot going on up here.
All right, gotcha. Resting SC owl face. Gotcha.
Resting bitch face, resting scowl face, whatever.
All right.
That's what I have.
All right.
I'm not able to keep my concentration off my face.
Then don't. Fuck it. I say fuck it. Scowl as much as you damn well please, Mama. Or not. Rest your face as much as you damn well
Yeah,
please.
I would like to rest my face, and always during meditation, I catch my shoulders coming up, so I have to keep my
Relax.
shoulders in my
Yes.
back because I don't know, just like in a perpetual state of hypervigilance.
Okay. Yeah. Understood. Understood. All right. I wanted to check in. Thanks for the giggle. So we feeling ready for tomorrow? Did everybody get the schedule? Would you like me to review it, or are you feeling pretty good and adulty about it?
Well, I guess I'm not the adult here. That's a good question.
Good for you.
So like, okay, I call it, we're gonna have teaching session first, and then you're gonna do is like do a guided sit a little bit. Is that what I'm gathering? Because you
So-
said session, talk, and sit,
Yes,
feel, and then open sit. So I guess what's the difference
I
between the
love
sitting
that.
with
Great
you
question. Great
versus the
question.
open sit?
Because
Yeah.
how would you know unless you've done it before or I've explained it to you? So the session talk and sit with a theme is usually the longer ones, and I can run through and check that. That includes an opening up of tomorrow morning, for example, at 9 a.m. Eastern time. So that'll be pretty early for some others. And if it's too early, don't worry about it. It'll be recorded. You can do it some other time. These don't necessarily build upon one another. That I did not mention. They may for you, but I find the order of building and stability shifts over time. So, you know, it's flexible. So we'll start at 9 o'clock and we'll start with a hi, how are ya? Let's chat, let's relax. And then we'll get into the theme talking about the feels in and the feels externally, and talking about what that might look like as an object of concentration. And then we'll have a little experience of that. And then we'll come back and we'll talk about it some more. Talking about it's one thing, and then sitting for 15 or 20 minutes having an experience of it can be something else completely other. And the talk after, the sit, I call them sits. For convenience, you may stand, you may do something else. Is for experimentation of the technique described. The question and period after that would end that particular session is really important, because that's how I take the temperature of what's going on with everybody. That's how I know what the issues are. Are you super distracted and jittery? Is there something else happening here? Is, you know, what's going on? And it's important to address those, I think, and answer some questions before we get into the silent sit, which then happens after that. Right after that, the open sit, which you can choose to do or not. That's up to you. If you are only going to do one thing, come to the talk sessions, talk and sit sessions. That's the information. You'll get a little practice. The open sit is unguided. I'll explain this tomorrow, but let me talk a little bit about it today. I don't know if this will reach. Yes, it does. Sits will start with, and they'll end with. In between those two, I don't say anything, because we've already talked about that particular technique. We've already practiced it a little bit, and then we've talked about it some more and ironed it out a little bit.
Okay.
So that's how that goes. And then, yeah, 30 to 11:15, and then we go blam right into the next one, and then another open sit. Great, and then we have a big break. So sometimes, like for example, tomorrow morning, when we do 9 to 10:30 session talk and sit, feel, it's everything I described. We may not go the full hour and a half. There will be some wiggle room to pee, to have a drink of water, blow your nose, have a little munchie, do whatever you need to do. The open sit will start on time at 10:30, which means the bell will ring at 10:30. The Zoom room here will stay open all morning. It's not going to close at any time. I may, you know, like turn my picture off, turn my mic off or something like that and be silent or some such, but it'll be open. Yeah, that's what I have for you. Does that clarify?
Yes, thank you.
You welcome, welcome. Great question. And again, all the sessions are recorded, so there's no need to take copious amounts of notes if you really don't want to. You could refer back to some of the recorded sessions. So I should say, to be perfectly clear here, people, what will be recorded are the longer sessions, the session talk and sit, the 1.5 hour sessions, those will be recorded. The open sits aren't going to be recorded. It's quiet. And nobody needs to stare at us meditating. Or maybe they do, I don't know, but they could maybe stare at somebody else or something. So those, they're just for information gathering for all y'all. There's a chance that if they come out really well, that I may chop them up minus some Q&A time specifically and put them on Podia for like an online class or something available. I don't know that I'll teach this class again live. I might, but in case I don't, it'll be recorded. Yeah. That's all I have to say about that. Great. Well, if there's nothing else, then I think we can scram, although Melissa, I can't tell if your mic is off or not.
I just turned it back on because I was just going to say goodnight. I like sitting, it's pretty dark here, so I looked like I was fading into the dark, so I just put my picture on.
What a metaphor. I love it.
I know.
All right. Thanks. And that's true too. Like, you guys, you don't have to have your faces showing. If you just want to like turn off your camera and just show up with no mic and no video, that's fine. That is totally fine. It's I don't need that like reassurance in that way. If I do, I will be really clear and I'll ask out loud if I need some feedback. But that's how that's going to be.
Christine, since you asked about my emotional state, I just want to say that I've been doing EFT tapping on some pretty heavy stuff.
Okay.
With Haley Brenton, and I know that there's stuff going on with my root chakra because of it. Do I need to take any precautions or be really concerned about that with what we are doing?
That's a really good question, Rachel, and I can't give a definitive yes or no. Maybe yes and maybe no. You'll have to start and then see how it's landing for you. It's the best answer I can give. We're hugely focused on what's arising in the present and being really clear with it. And in a quantumous way, and not jumping on the train of the story that it's trying to tell us. So, so it could be helpful. I don't know. We're not launching into trigger practice. We're launching into the fun stuff, which doesn't mean if you're really doing shadow work and things are emerging because of an awakening, a Kundalini or stream entry process that's arising for you. Sometimes sensory clarity can be very calming when there's a lot going on, when there's a strong focus on something that is chosen, which is turns it more into a concentration flavored practice. We could even talk about that tomorrow, actually. That's something really interesting. So you can tweak it into what you want it to be. There's no mandate of intense or heavy. Okay. Yeah, there's no request in that arena. Great question. All right, beautiful peeps. I think we've had our fill for tonight. I'll see you tomorrow. I know there's, I mentioned about the other person, Alyssa. I probably won't be here much at all. I know Gay has a thing at a certain point, and you don't need to tell me. Yeah, but I appreciate everybody informing me and the respect. So thank you very much. Do what you need to do. My theme for all things, well, you guys know this because you know me, is trust yourself. Take care of yourself. Don't matter what's happening to the person leading here, you're your own priority with your own experience. So let that be paramount for you. This is just techniques that will lead the horse to water, and then you drink the water or you don't. You have your own experience and intention around it. So that's one thing I mentioned before, set an intention for tomorrow. It doesn't have to be complex. It could be simple, could simply be, my intention is to be peaceful. And these techniques will lead to that. And then witness that intention and how it unfolds throughout the day. Or something more complex, like my intention might be to tweeze apart what I'm receiving in my audio field, my auditory clair audience, when I'm doing readings for others, and I really want to focus on like what is specific to my voice and my higher self and what's happening with my own personal inner talk, so that that's distinct from something else. That's a much more in-depth kind of lace work of an intention that may be your truth. You want to reach enlightenment, then maybe that's your truth. It's certainly possible. I'm not saying it's not. So intention will go a long way, I believe, with all of those. So let's do just a little dedication of merit here for ourselves. Take some breaths and just feel in. May all actions taken tonight and over the course of this mini retreat be for the benefit of all beings, those that have come before us, those that will come after us, and those that walk beside us. So be it, and so it is. Blessings all. I'll see you B&E bright and early-ish. If you're on the East Coast, it's not early. But I'll see you early in the morning. All right. Thanks, people. Mwah. Much love to you.
Good night.
Good
night.
night.